The those big chainsaws. It's gonna be diamonds or something.
They drop my little electric chainsaw to cut that one.
You take them in. Yeah, it takes about 8 battery packs to get the blade in there.
Lots of extension cords.
Yeah, the Connecticut Cloud was covered in 65 when I was heading up here the other day. I always loved that. That happened to me a couple weeks ago. I smelled like hickory for the next hour and a half.
Because you can talk.
I wanted to let you know that it's 7 minutes after the.
It runs a country town. Is that what it is?
Actually, all 3 of them. Like one's for the sheriff and 2 for the city of Mobile. Yeah, Drew's representing the sheriff. Me too, but. And Andre. Well, the whole team's there.
So we got to give a report on how you doing?
Ma'am?
Can you give us a report on how you doing?
Oh,
I thought you were saying, I thought you were talking about.
I don't know.
Oh, well, you with your clerk, don't you have a quorum?
I just knew that it was.
Last time I had those, I was flying up.
Wait a minute, Barbara says she's on her way.
Listen.
Haven't heard from Adeline, but Barbara says on my way.
I love this stuff.
We'll go ahead and get started. You know, we let Mark get his deal and we'll get going since we do know that they're coming and they'll be here in just a minute, plus we have speakers that would like to speak. So go ahead and call the meeting to order. Mark, you mind doing the opening prayer?
I don't. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this group of people that you've put in place for such a time as this to represent our people back home. Give us the strength to carry through with this and wisdom to make the decisions that would honor you. Bless this day. In your almighty, most gracious name.
Amen. Call the roll.
Representative Stringer?
Here.
Representative Jones? Representative Boise?
Here.
Representative Pringles? Representative Clark?
Perfect.
Representative Wilcox? Here. Representative Brown? Representative Brown?
Here.
Representative Showery?
Here.
We have a quorum.
We'll go ahead and get started with House Bill 101. Representative Shower, if you're ready, you can go ahead and present.
So HB 101 is a bill to allow the sheriff to get a credit card and propagate rules for the use of the credit card. It came up with audits, and the auditor said, hey, it would be easier to keep up with some of these expenses if you used a credit card. In order to do that, we have to pass a bill.
Any questions?
Make a motion.
All right, we've got a motion, got a second? Got a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill carries. All right. And Ms. Drummond's here, so we're ready to go with her. Representative Drummond's got House Bill 104. And whenever you're ready.
Well, the bill for 104 is really simple. We did a litter abatement bill a while back, and so I'm out of breath. But this bill would only allow us now to include debris. And if you've been, those of you who live in the city of Mobile, when you see all of the debris that's been accumulating, you know, in right-of-ways and so forth, it's becoming a problem. And I like because City of Mobile has data to show those problems through their 311 system. And so that's what this bill will do, will include debris as well. And that's the bill.
Make motion.
That's one question.
I noticed it specifically says front yard. So if there's trash in the backyard, they're gonna stop on the side of the house, back side of the house.
I don't think we can go on private property. And that's why it's front yard. And most of the debris that we're talking about, you're seeing it show up on easements and sidewalks.
Okay,
Public domain.
that's what thank you.
All right, we've got a motion for favorable and a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill carries. Moving along to Ms. Clark's, Representative Clark's HB 145.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, fellow reps. There is an existing law entitled the Alabama Scrap Tire Environmental Quality Act. And what HB 145 proposes to do is to have ADEM, which is in charge of carrying out that act, to grant the city of Mobile the authority to enforce the scrap tire laws in the city of Mobile. We've talked about this. I think most of you all heard the explanation at the Farm Federation meeting a month or so ago. I was able to get 5 of you who were on the floor at that time to be co-sponsors of the bill, but would be happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Any questions?
I move to give the bill a favorable.
We got a motion for favorable, got a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The bill carries. That's all the bills that we have on the agenda today. We are gonna have some other issues coming up, so judicial appointments, we're gonna need to meet and get that ready to go pretty quick, so there will be another. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, on that judicial appointment, do you want us to send the applicant to you? Or how do you want us to handle that?
That will not hurt. If y'all want to, let's get a list of any names.
Or you want to share it with the whole delegation?
I don't have a problem with doing that either.
Don't we normally meet as an entire delegation?
We do, correct.
Senator Van Alstine.
Yeah, so if y'all want, we can look at, potentially even next week, having a meeting to discuss it or whatever.
What is the timeline for that?
This one is where, Ms. Baxby's resigning, so.
She actually, and I would like for us to you know, she's ill, but I really like for this delegation to send her a resolution commending her service, because she is one, even the judges wanted to keep on, remember, so, she's done well.
Yeah, and I'm sure our clerk can help us accomplish that.
Mr. Chairman, the letter that we received, did it mention a timeline?
On the appointment,
Yes.
they're asking us to do it as soon as possible.
So it is out.
Yep, so that's what I'm saying, we probably need to bring this, is it too early to think to schedule a meeting for next Wednesday? All right, so if the Senate is able, then we can go ahead and accomplish that next week. So we can get our names and everything ready to go. Anything else from members?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I came in here on 2 wheels, so I don't know if our county engineer is here or not. Has she spoken to you?
She is not, but she is, I was getting ready to move into our, involvement from our,
Thank you.
committee and, friends here,
Thank
so
you.
I guess we can start with you if that's okay.
Okay, so, I'm Kim Sanderson, I'm the Mobile County engineer, and I have a friend from across the bay, this is Frank Lundy, he is the Mobile County engineer. And-
We work closely together.
Yeah, so we have some information we want to give y'all regarding House Bill 204, and he's gonna get it started, and I'm just gonna kind of hand it to you.
Thank you.
We appreciate all of y'all having us here today. What we want to talk about is the Senate Bill 110, House Bill 204. One more. There we go. And let's see how many more here. And so we'll try to keep the talking points brief, but we want to cover why we're here. It's been, I've heard it said many times today, why are the commissioners and why are the engineers so upset about this bill? What's the issue? Because we're not increasing the gross weight of log trucks. But here's the problem. We are increasing the axle weight of trucks. The axle weight is what causes the damage to roads and bridges. Gross weight is not that big of a concern to us. Obviously, there's some limitations there, but the axle weight is what destroys our roads and bridges. If this is approved as written, we're going to see, and it's been calculated, we're running through the formulas with ALDOT, we're going to have a 30% reduction in the life of our roads and bridges by this bill passing. That's over half the gains of the rebuild gas tax that we worked so hard for, that everybody worked so hard for to get approved, that's giving life to counties all over this state. The roads were paved roads are being turned back to dirt. That has helped turn that around. We're going to lose over half the gains of that bill if this goes into effect the way it is. So that's what we want to drill down to is it is imperative that we do not increase those axle weights. There may be other ways to look at it, but that is why the engineers are so loud on this bill. Some numbers here, just in Baldwin County, we're going to reduce what roads we can resurface. About 14 miles a year, we'll see that reduction. That's going to be the impact. Mobile County is going to be about the same. So if you're looking at 30, 40 miles of roads that's in Mobile and Baldwin counties that we're not going to be resurfacing because it takes money to repair things more often. There are almost 350 bridges, county bridges throughout this state that will become posted, they will become posted to load limitations if this bill passes as written. We have 16 of those will be in Baldwin County and about the same number in Mobile County. So we understand, Senator Jack Williams is sponsoring the bill in the Senate. Representative Givens is in the House. I know this down our end of the state. Those are the impacts we're going to find at home. And that's why we're needing to have a look at this, not move it forward the way it's written. Just keep in mind the axle weights are very, very important.
Explain axle weight and vehicular weight.
So when we talk about gross load, that is the overall load of that vehicle. Right now it's 80,000 pounds with a tolerance of basically 88,000 pounds in this state. That's the gross weight. This bill doesn't propose to change that. The axle weight is the weight on each axle as it produces. You have to transfer that load to the ground. So when that's transferred through the tires, and that's the force that the pavement sees when that tire hits that point. And those force points are what's being increased. Well, for 20,000 pounds for a single axle, I don't want to get too technical here, but if you have just a single wheel axle, increasing that weight from 20,000 pounds to 22,000, I believe it is. And then the tandem, like you see on a log truck, you have the dual tandem wheels. Current state law is 34,000 pounds for that unit, for that tandem. This is increasing to 44,000. That's going to be cause a detrimental effect by increasing those particular weights.
Cause see, I mean, logging trucks, one logging truck got stopped twice, same load. Got tickets at both stops. Got to the mill and he was underway.
So
the scales on the side of the road said it was overweight. 2 different times, 2 different stops. It gets to the mill, gets up on a certified scale, and that truck is underweight.
So for the Engineers Association, I'm not, I don't have much issue with the enforcement side. That's another thing. So I understand, and that's a valid point, and there may be some ways to alleviate that. My point here today from the Engineers Association and what we'll do to the road, we do know that we can mathematically prove that increasing these weights, we know what it will cause and what it will do to the road. Now, there may be other ways to skin the enforcement and a better way to handle some of that. I'm not here arguing that side of the bill.
What about like the big trucks hauling steel? All of this too, we're just going out the walkers.
Well,
Not being mean.
no, and I don't know that we're going after anything. The bill specifically is talking about log trucks. That's,
It's loggers that are getting that. These poor guys are going bankrupt left and right. They can't make a living anymore. We're kind of dependent on forestry in Southwest Alabama.
And that business needs to thrive, absolutely. I've cut some timber myself, and I'm saying there may be some other options to look at that can help solve that, what you're referring to, and ease the concern with damaging the roads. Just be open to maybe some other options.
What solutions are you proposing?
I'm not here to propose anything yet. What I'm here to do is to say that is a critical piece of the conversation of the axle weight. If we can open the door to have other conversations to help manage that, there may be some opportunity there. I don't have a solution to give to you. I'm not saying there isn't one. I'm saying that is the critical piece. Because what I've heard over and over and over in my meetings is, what does it matter? Because we're not changing the gross weight. And what I want to convey is what it does matter and why it matters. It's extremely important that actual weight are I mean, that is what's causing, that's transferring the load and causing the damage to the roads.
Representative Drummond's got a question.
And he's sort of answering some of it, but I want to be clear. So let's use Mobile County as an example. What you're telling us from an engineering standpoint, that the pavement of our roads and some of those bridges cannot sustain the log trucks? Is that the simplistic way? Is that a simplistic way? And my other question is there an option where we can implore for future roads and bridges that will be able to sustain whatever that axle weight is? So those are the two questions. And I use Mobile County because that's where I live.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So an answer, okay, if the axle load goes up, then the way we design the roads and bridges will have to go up. It's designed right now for a certain weight on the axle. If I guess my best example for me to help to understand it is when my husband and I move furniture, I tell him to get the heavy end and I lift the light end. Even though I could probably pick up half of whatever the load is, when there's a heavy end, I don't have the ability to pick it up. So when the axle weight is allowed to be heavier on one end, where the rubber hits the road, that asphalt is carrying a heavier load than it was designed to carry. And all of our design is based on the axle weights, the way they are currently.
Are there any efforts or options afoot to change the way you're doing the roads to be able to sustain the weight of the axle for log trucks in the future?
We could, but it would be more expensive.
How much would it be?
Well, the best numbers we have right now is a 25 to 30% increase. We'd have to bulk up the asphalt. It may move us into a different class of asphalt. You use a different asphalt depending on your easel design, how many easels you're expecting to cross over the asphalt over its lifespan.
It would be millions of dollars to increase our roads to hold the load we're talking about. And because our roads, and I know in Baldwin County, we have 1,600 miles of county maintained roads. That's not including the state roads or any private roads. That's just county. Those are already built. They were built under old standards, under current designs. If we put this new loading on them, they're not designed to that standard. They are going to begin failing. And what Kim is explaining is, can we modify those roads to accommodate the new weight? Can it be done? Yes. Millions upon millions of dollars to be able to increase that design to handle that load. Another example that Kim had a good one, and another one we used it. Take a wife example. If she walks across the ground with a pair of tennis shoes on, go out in the yard, walk across soft soil tennis shoes. It's very minimal impact. The same wife, change shoes, put a pair of high heels on, and walk across that same yard. What's going to happen? You're going to sink up. It's going to damage the ground. You're going to sink in. It's all about the distribution of weight to the ground.
All wives don't wear high heels.
Why you have to use women as
That's what I was going to say.
Well, I don't look as good in high heels, so I can but
I'll get you out of this one.
Yes.
Representative.
No, you better not.
Representative Clark's got a question, and then Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So everybody else probably knows the answer to this question, but who are our colleagues carrying this bill for? Our senator from our delegation, Forrester. Okay, so has there been any attempt to try to, can you negotiate? Can you come to a happy medium here? And is your county commissions association working on this?
yes, they are. We met with Sonny Brassfield and his team this morning. There's active negotiations and conversations going on.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Wilcox.
Okay, so I think there's got to be a little margin in between what they want and what is the weight you currently design them for? Because surely you got a little padding in it.
Well,
I just want to know.
county roads and state roads are at a different standard. Most of us travel on county roads, and you can see the difference when you're driving a normal county road, which is where most of the timberland is. State roads will be a little more built up, a little nicer. But
Can you give me some numbers?
we design to the current state law.
Which is?
20,000 pounds, per axle, 34,000 pounds for a tandem axle. That's what the current law is. That's what we designed to. There's not a factor of safety and a buffer in there. That's what our roads are designed to, if we get to that. Some are not even at that.
So they're already way over the limit.
The current law is 20,000 pounds per axle, 34,000 pounds for a unit, for a tandem unit. That's what the current state law is. What's being asked for here is to increase that amount to a higher level.
The young man right here I think he wanted to answer Marty's question.
So what you were saying is the design is the easel count. You have like an
Can you
8-year
identify
research.
yourself?
Oh, Andy Tutton.
He works with Mobile County Engineering.
But as far as pavement design goes, you design, say, 8-year service life, and then based on the traffic loading, the amount of trucks, you get a design easel count. That's what they're talking about, is a single axle load. And if you increase that weight limit per axle, you're gonna reach that easel count much sooner. That's where the reduction of 25 to 30% comes. So the design is not a padding per se, it's just you're gonna reach that number much sooner than you would before.
Thank you.
Basically, you go like Highway 10 up in Wilcox County, near the Alabama River Fault.
Yes, sir.
If you're driving on 5 and you cross 10, you can feel your car go up and do this because of the ruts. The logging trucks have worn down into the asphalt, all right? And they're powerful. They're probably 2-3 inches deep at least. You see them when you're driving as they fill up with water. But you take this weight on these all these trucks. Those roads are built. A lot of them are WPA roads are built before. They literally just took dirt and threw it in a pile, put some asphalt on top of it. And the bridges are the same way. When these trucks are running down the road, they're pushing that asphalt. You got thousands of pounds of pressure. When they come off the asphalt and get on the bridge, all right, they're pushing that down. And they come off the bridge, all that weight drops again. That's the reason why you see the dips on the other side of the bridge. But you've got a trucks constantly hitting those bridges at 30,000 pounds of weight. And they're hitting on that bridge, going over and dropping on the other side, pounding on both sides. But they cause damage. I feel sorry for them, but they're just trying to make a living, but they do cause damage. Am I right or wrong?
You're correct. You're spot on, and that's what we're saying. We're already seeing damage across the state with the current state load limits. We don't need to increase, and it's all about the axle weights, the axle loading. If we increase it, we're going to see much more damage than what's being described, which is extravagant throughout this state right now. Let's find a better way without destroying our infrastructure.
But yeah, I mean, with the steel mill, they weigh those trucks when they go out the gate. They know what they weigh. The problem is, you got guys in the woods loading logs. They don't know if they're 40,000. I mean, it's just hard for them to figure out how much they're put on that truck. And they've got to haul further and further and further every load. There's nothing to do a 4-hour round trip for them to drop a load of logs off.
Well, there's been a lot of meetings going on over the years. This ain't just popped up.
No, it's a
so
problem.
we've been meeting with different organizations, group, forestry, logging crews, everybody trying to come up with something. It's just been a trying to figure out something. We've even met with Aaliyah and Hal Taylor and trying to see if we could come up with a better way of how they're handling some of this. But it's a handful. So I think Representative Wilcox.
Well, I was just opining, I don't know how germane it is this particular thing, but them not being able to get on the interstate at times puts them on your county roads far more and past the school districts and past the areas that we're trying to bypass. So I know it's not exact on point, but I sure wish that we could work something out where we could get them away from the schools and get them. My dad worked a crane operator at the paper mill, Scott paper for my braces and everything, straight tape and everything. But he never would let me ride, he would never let our car ride alongside of the log truck because he'd seen them, the volatility of those loads. So the case has been made that maybe we need to take this a little bit further and more comprehensive than what we're discussing right now and see how we could get them on the interstate at the same time.
And that's a great point, and there's a reason that the feds don't let them on the interstate, it's because they're already loaded more, there's already more of an impact than what the feds allow because of this very conversation. Our state is already beyond the limits of what the interstate, what the federal.
And yet our surrounding states have more, are being more lenient on that, as I understand it, or moving towards leniency.
I'm not sure on that, but I do think there's room for conversation. But I really wanted to stress the point of the axle weight, when you may have been told that's insignificant, it don't matter. What's it matter how you shift that load and adjust that load on the truck? It matters greatly when that load is transferred into our roads. And that, so, thank you for the time.
Representative Shower.
Doing what you said, there's not a different way to load those trucks so that there's less. And we're talking about the rear axle because of the way the logs, the fulcrum effect is the rear axis. Is that correct?
From what I've been informed from the association, yes, that's their main concern is the rear axle. And there are different ways to load it, but I'm not an expert on that. They are. The mills kind of dictate how they want to see that load, how the load is distributed, waste distributed for the truck to operate safely. There's a lot of factors that I'm not an expert on, but everything that I've been told, yes, those rear wheels are the key point.
So it brings me to another question. So they are, obviously there's different types of logging, okay? Is it a particular type of log, probably the ones that are for telephone poles that hang off the back of the truck, those are more of an issue? Seems to me it'd have to be because.
From what I've been informed, yes, sir, that is the primary issue, is those long logs that cantilever off the back of the truck, which is why the rear wheels are so important for this conversation.
I apologize, we're gonna have to cut it short. Everybody's got committee meetings. I wish we had more time for you guys. I wanted to recognize the sheriff. I think Sheriff Burke was here with us, but if there's, do you have something you want to say before we close?
I was just, with the additional postings, that will increase detours for the logging trucks. They won't be able to go over bridges that they can now. So if you increase the axle weight, the bridges can't take it, then you have to find an alternate route. So that will affect the loggers as well.
So very complicated.
Yes.
So,
Well, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, very informative, thank you all.
anyone have anything else before we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, second. All in favor, state aye.
Many years ago,
We're adjourned.
Steve, thanks.